Hello, you beautiful people. I thought I'd have a little chat with you today about something that's been going on social media and in the wider world, especially the theatre world. And the chat is that of theatre etiquette. Now, notice before we go any further, boys and girls, I just said theatre etiquette. I didn't say cabaret etiquette or live music etiquette, and I think that's one important thing I'd like to differentiate straight away. I shared a meme earlier this week, and I was really interested to see, first of all, how much engagement it got, but also that some people were like, yeah, absolutely, people should shut up at the theatre, and other people raised some really, really interesting questions, like if you are a neurodivergent and you want to go to the theatre, you may not be able to help making a noise. And posts like that, seeing posts like that, even though it was a very jokey one, very fun, sort of a tongue-in-cheek one, can and will, I'm sure, make people feel unwelcome or unsure as to whether they should go to the theatre. So basically the meme is like, shut up and listen. Stop eating an entire 3-course meal during a show, and also stop singing along to musicals. I don't know, by the way, if I agree with any or all of that post. Just because I posted it, I don't agree with everything I post. I post things because I find them interesting and because I want to start a conversation. I don't want to have a fight. I don't want to argue with people. I want to have a conversation, and I want to have one with you too. So let me know what you think about this, because it's really curious. There definitely seems to be a group of people who I have a tremendous amount of sympathy with. I mean, I'm not one of these people. It depends what mood I'm in. Who, when they go to the theatre to see a musical or a play, they expect their peers around them and their mates and themselves to shut up, sit quietly and watch, and not make big fusses about, going to the toilet 4 times during a 2-hour show, or eating a full course meal, or just very, very noisy sweets and stuff like that. Not heckling and not groaning when they find out that the understudy's on, things like that. I hear all of that. I hear that. But when did those rules begin, if those are indeed the rules of theatre etiquette? Because I'm sure I barely need to even remind you that in Shakespeare's time, or if you think of Joseph Grimaldi and his pantomime heyday, and music hall, and of course in cabaret from 1881 to today, we like to get rowdy, we like to shout out, we're encouraged to in many shows, pantomimes, the Rocky Horror Show, and I feel that there's a lot of jukebox musicals that now encourage people getting up in the aisle, dancing, joining in with songs that they know. So it's a very confusing message, really, just to simply give a blanket term of this is theatre etiquette, because quite frankly, I think it depends on the piece of theatre that you go to, doesn't it? And perhaps we need to take our lead by the people on the stage, from the people on the stage, or the other people around us, because I don't think this is a one-size-fits-all issue. And I don't want anybody to feel that they aren't welcome at the theatre because they can't be silent, or because they have specific issues, or needing to go to the toilet, more than once in an hour. I was at the theatre last night, and this chap quite near the front, he popped out 4 times during I think it was about a 2.5-hour musical. And the woman at the end of my row, who was at the back, luckily, so most people didn't see her, she pointed and laughed every single time he got up and went to the toilet. And I thought that was curious, because, what is it that you're pointing and laughing at? If you're pointing and laughing at the fact that someone's disturbing the show, well, your pointing and laughing is doing a lot more disturbing of the audience and the show than this chap, who was extremely discreet. Are you pointing and laughing at someone who has a bladder problem? Is that your idea of comedy? Do you think that's funny? I hope that doesn't ever happen to you. Or are you just a twat? And have you just drunk a lot? And, are you just out for some fun with your friends and you don't care whether it's socially acceptable or not socially acceptable. You paid for your ticket and this is your night out, and it's your night out, you know. As I say to a lot of my students, we're here to entertain. They're the ones that bought the ticket. We're the ones being paid. Get your head the right way round on this one. But that doesn't mean there shouldn't be etiquette. That doesn't mean the performers don't have rights and and casts don't have rights. Of course they do. But I do think it curious that there's this theatre etiquette stuff being thrown around now. Like there was a day when these rules were written and that they're the right rules. Joseph Grimaldi, somebody died in one of his, I think it was pantomime, not music hall, but I think somebody was thrown off a balcony during the performance of one of Joseph Grimaldi's shows and fatally killed. And they carried on with the show. People, we've all seen these movies and TV shows of things set in, at times gone by where people are rutting in the back row and doing it for tuppence and an orange. And that's not fiction, that's true. That happened. It still happens today in some cabaret clubs. And so I'd like to have a conversation. I'd love to know what you think, and what better place to start than with my wonderful patrons. So tell me, get involved, and share my thoughts with you, because I think the most important thing is that we continue to make people feel welcome at the theatre, at cabaret, at music events, and that people feel that it is going to be a fun night out where they have some sort of agency over what's going on. Not to the extent that they ruin it for others, but just, what are the rules? What game are we playing? Who's made up these rules? Have we all agreed? I think it's curious. I think the other thing that's finally very curious about a lot of the theatre etiquette posts that I see going around, especially the one I shared, was it was tremendously performer-centric. And I, as a performer of 30 years plus, I'm much more worried about the other members of the audience and their experience being spoiled. Never mind Dolly here. Dolly's getting paid. If Dolly has a bad day at work, Dolly has a bad day at work. We all have bad days at work with annoying customers. It's happened to us all. It's never going to not happen. Would I like everyone to stay completely silent during my shows? It depends on the show. I work with no fourth wall. I invite the vampire into my home. I can't then be pissed when it bites me, So there's a lot here. It's a lot more complicated than you're wrong, I'm right, you be quiet, I'll do my job better. It's not just that, is it? Let's talk. Let's find out. And I'll see you next time. Unless I'm heckled to death.